Rivalries are an important source of the Shonen Empire's success. With strong marketing, they bring in tons of yen. And because of rivalries, it gives us the choice of joining an alliance. Are you a Naruto person or a Sasuke person? Are you a red person or a blue person? Or most importantly, are you a Goku person or a Vegeta person? Maybe you're neither, but Vegeta's rivalry with Goku tells us a tale of a psychopathic Saiyan transforming into a lovable father. But how did we get here? And how did his rivalry with Goku evolve over these many years? Well, we must first answer where it all began. The moment that Goku decided to spare Vegeta's life signaled the birth of this legendary rivalry. But at the beginning, Vegeta's rivalry with Goku was of little importance. He had technically defeated Goku due to his Great Ape transformation, and was far more occupied with his own selfish affairs on Namek to care about Goku. It was only when Goku arrived and defeated the Ginyu Force that Vegeta began to look at himself deeper in comparison with Kakarot. And while Vegeta had a moment against Frieza where he thought he had become a Super Saiyan, he was defeated, tortured, proven wrong, and ultimately killed. Enter Super Saiyan Goku. This was it, the defining moment that truly set the Saiyan rivalry in motion. Goku had done something only legends could describe, and Vegeta didn't. This ultimately triggered the game of catch-up that we would see for the rest of Dragon Ball history. To begin, even though it was only shown in anime filler, it was implied that Vegeta spent all his time training in space in preparation for Goku's return after the defeat of Frieza. But it is after this where Vegeta gets an unexpected surprise. His future half-Saiyan son randomly shows up and arrives, and not only is Trunks stronger than Vegeta, but he quickly eliminates the person that Vegeta hated most along with his father King Cole. But what's most important is that Trunks did this as a Super Saiyan, something that placed Vegeta further down on the catch-up list to Goku and his own son from the future. And we can see here that Vegeta's rivalry began to expand due to external forces. This time, his own son Trunks was an addition to his ambitious goal to defeat Goku. This brings us to our next major event. Over the 3-year gap, Vegeta managed to successfully become a Super Saiyan, and it's implied that he even surpassed Trunks and Goku based on Piccolo's comments. So everything seemed like it was a win for Vegeta. All his work seemed to have paid off when he disposed of Android 19, and it had seemed like he had finished his checklist of goals. But his titanic battle against Android 18 would change everything forever. But let's rewind back to before the Android arc. Remember, the Super Saiyan transformation was the end-all and be-all of a Saiyan's might, and if we don't count Goku's sickness to Android 19, it had an undefeated record in the present timeline. But Trunks' future is a whole different story, and Trunks knew what 17 and 18 were capable of doing to Super Saiyans because Gohan and Vegeta both died as Super Saiyans, and Vegeta's ego put himself in a battle against an android whose power can make a Super Saiyan crumble. But it wasn't the fact that Vegeta lost to Android 18. It was the fact that he trained so hard for so little and was crushed both physically and mentally. Also, because Trunks and the others jumped in to help, this showcased Vegeta as a helpless child who needed his friends to try and save him. And even though it stated that they didn't train together, Vegeta did manage to go into the room of spirit in time with Trunks, which indicated a shift in his isolationist policy. It would still be a very long time before we see him actively training with others like Dragon Ball Super, but here we have Vegeta embracing Goku's training idea and looking away from his rivalry with Goku for a bigger goal. But after training in the Room of Spirit in time for a year, Vegeta goes back to his old ways. After dominating Semi-Perfect Cell, his newfound power allowed him to defeat a character much stronger than Android 18. and Vegeta was so overconfident in his abilities that he fought off his own son Trunks so that Cell could absorb 18 to give him a challenge. And when you look at it, Vegeta's fight with Perfect Cell was similar to the 18 fight. In it, Vegeta's overconfidence was his kryptonite, and just like the fight against 18, Trunks jumped in to help Vegeta when he was in trouble. The only difference is that this time Trunks did it when Vegeta was knocked out because he understood what it would do to his pride if he did it while he was conscious, especially because he had already done this before when they were fighting against the androids. So at this point, the next challenge Vegeta would face would be the emergence of Goku and Gohan from the Room of Spirit and Time. But what made this a serious failure for Vegeta? Well, Goku, Gohan, Trunks, and Vegeta all went into the Room of Spirit and Time. However, it is stated that Goku and Gohan came out earlier, and they also came out stronger and more efficient at fighting than Trunks and Vegeta. It would prove that his training methods are far inferior to that of Goku. But because Cell was the main threat, Vegeta still had a bigger goal in mind, and that takes us to our next point. After being surpassed by Cell, Goku, and Gohan, Vegeta went into the Room of Spirit and Time again. And after entering it twice, he only marginally cut down on the already huge gap between himself, Goku, Gohan, and Cell. And this would surface itself in its fight against the Cell Juniors. The perfect analogy to describe this would be if you're playing a video game and you don't even get to face the main boss because the mini boss is too much for you to handle. And being dominated by the Cell Juniors after training longer than Goku and Gohan led to another failure by Vegeta. However, the next pitfall on our list set Vegeta back beyond epic proportions, and this would be the evolution of Gohan into a Super Saiyan 2. If we dissect this thoroughly, now Gohan, a child, unlocked a level of power that placed a power gap so far above Vegeta that it would take him years to sniff that type of power. And what made matters worse is that Vegeta was saved by his rival's son on 3 different occasions. Once against the Cell Juniors, the next time when Gohan intercepted Cell's blast to kill Vegeta, and when Gohan killed Cell, saving everybody. But, on the bright side, we see Vegeta actively contributing to the defeat of Cell, and you could see the pride he had to swallow to do this. This ultimately showed major character growth in Goku's absence, and for once we saw Vegeta care more about somebody else than himself when he raged out against Cell knowing that he was weaker. Enter the death of Goku. For Vegeta to ultimately change, Goku had to die. Unfortunately, Goku's return was the worst thing that could have ever happened to Vegeta. Over the 7 years without Goku, Vegeta settled down, softened up, and became a family man. He was finally free from all of the external forces that controlled his life, and had Goku not returned during the Buu Saga, Majin Vegeta wouldn't have occurred. This is due to the fact that watching Goku fight against Qaaman reminded Vegeta that he was inferior, and this brought him back to the torture he faced throughout his life in the Android arc of failing to fall behind again and again, and Goku proved this with his return. This causes us to create an argument that Goku's presence leads to character regression in Vegeta. Sigmund Freud, a famous Austrian psychologist, wrote about the concept of regression. In it, it is a state in which an individual's ego reverts to a previous stage of development. But how do we translate this psychological concept to Dragon Ball? Well, the key reason why Vegeta progresses in Goku's absence is because he is forced to adapt to life on Earth. But when Goku returns, Vegeta isolates himself and feels like a true Saiyan again while he's fixated on his rivalry with Goku. But all of this changed when Vegeta died. And if we use religion as a metaphor, when Vegeta died against Majin Buu, it was as if he was symbolically born again. He paid for all of his sins and old behaviors and was granted a new life by King Yama. Hence, that's why when he was considered a good guy during the fight against Kid Buu, he was granted a new life when he was wished back with the Dragon Balls. So during the Kid Buu fight when Vegeta admitted that Goku was stronger, this signaled the birth of his new rivalry with Goku. The old rivalry died when Vegeta died against Majin Buu, and the new rivalry began when Vegeta accepted the truth of Goku being stronger. But what about his rivalry with Goku after this? Well, if we look at the original ending of Dragon Ball Z before Super, he still likely trained out of habit to stay in shape, but the rivalry was completely cooled off from the years before. He was simply enjoying his life on Earth with his family and raising his kids. However, Dragon Ball Super is completely different from the original ending of Z, because while Vegeta still admitted Goku was stronger, it didn't sap his desire to keep competing and pushing himself to reach Goku's level. And this is where we see true development in Vegeta's character, because he is open to learning with Goku and from other powerful beings such as Whis and Beerus. And canon or not, GT essentially follows the model from the original Dragon Ball manga and the end of the Dragon Ball Z anime. But once Goku learned Super Saiyan 4, and Bulma found a way to make Vegeta a Super Saiyan 4, his eager to approach Goku's strength returned once again. So how would we summarize the 5 phases of Vegeta's rivalry with Goku? Well, it began when Goku spared his life, intensified when Goku became a Super Saiyan, evolved when Goku died against Cell, and was completed during the Buu Saga when Vegeta died against Majin Buu. And for the 5th phase, the rivalry was reborn when Vegeta admitted Goku was stronger, taking the rivalry into a friendly new direction that we would see today.
Yes, the rivalry will never end! Either way, check out What If I Never Left Earth to see how bad life would be without me. Operation Me, for you fact-loving nerds. And my mysteries to learn about my life before the clown Kakarot came along. Soranora, you weeaboo clowns!